If you've always been treated as the black sheep of the family, the odd one who never fit in, the problematic one who was always blamed, the different one who was rejected for simply being who you are, take a deep breath, because what you're about to discover in the next few minutes may finally explain all this pain and reveal that the family rejection that almost destroyed you was actually confirmation of something much greater. That feeling of never belonging, of being misunderstood by the very ones who share your blood, of carrying the weight of being constantly judged and excluded. It didn't happen because something's wrong with you. It happened because you're a chosen one who was divinely separated for a purpose your family simply cannot comprehend, because they operate on a completely different spiritual frequency from yours. Here's the revolutionary truth that will change everything. The coldness you feel coming from family members isn't just common emotional distance. It's spiritual reaction to the light you carry that automatically exposes the darkness they prefer to keep hidden. There's literally spiritual warfare disguised as family dynamics being waged against your destiny, using the spirit of rejection as a weapon to make you give up on your calling by making you believe that if even your own family rejects you, you must be worthless. But the separation you experience isn't divine punishment. It's intentional preparation, sacred isolation, where God hid you to form you away from family voices that would distort the message He's planting in you. In the next few minutes, we're going to dive deep into the reality of being chosen within a family that doesn't understand or support. We'll explore why they stay cold, how to recognize signs you're being spiritually targeted through them, and most importantly, how to stop seeking validation they'll never give and embrace the spiritual identity God has already confirmed. You'll learn about forgiveness that liberates without obligating reconciliation with those who haven't changed, about healthy emotional detachment that preserves your peace, and about the powerful truth that you're not alone. Thousands of other chosen ones go through the same family rejection. If you're tired of being the misunderstood black sheep, if you feel guilty for not fitting into family dynamics, prepare yourself, because this message will validate your experience and free you from the prison of seeking acceptance from those who were never designated to walk with you in this phase of the journey. Being chosen isn't an honorary title that gives you medals and applause. It's a sacred weight that separates you even from those who should be closest to you. The first and most painful divine separation the chosen one faces doesn't come from strangers or the outside world. It comes from within the home, from the very family that should support you, but instead treats you as the black sheep, as stranger, as problem they'd prefer didn't exist. This family rejection isn't accident or your character flaw. It's an inevitable consequence of carrying light in an environment that chose to remain comfortable in darkness, of operating on spiritual frequency that confronts everything they try to hide. You probably grew up feeling you never fit the family dynamic. While everyone laughed at jokes you found cruel, you questioned. While they accepted mediocrity as norm, you sought something greater. While they perpetuated toxic generational patterns, you instinctively resisted even without fully understanding why. It wasn't causeless rebellion. It was early spiritual discernment, recognizing you didn't belong to that mold, that you were made different, intentionally separated by God to break cycles they prefer to maintain. And the more you grew spiritually, the wider the distance between you and them became, until it turned into an unbridgeable chasm. The brutal reality is this: being chosen often means being misunderstood, rejected, and even attacked by the very ones who share your blood. They call you proud when you establish healthy boundaries, crazy when you share genuine spiritual experiences, ungrateful when you refuse to perpetuate destructive dynamics just to maintain false family peace. But here's the truth that liberates. This separation didn't happen because you're defective. It happened because you're designated, marked, called for a purpose that requires you to be different, even when that costs the most painful price of all, which is not having your own family's support. The coldness you feel coming from family members isn't just common emotional distance. It's automatic spiritual reaction to the light you carry. When you enter the room, your presence alone exposes what they work hard to hide. The lies they tell themselves, the masks they wear, the secret addictions, the selfish ambitions disguised as virtue. You don't need to say anything, don't need to verbally judge. Your simple, authentic existence functions as mirror reflecting back to them exactly what they don't want to face. And instead of using this discomfort as growth opportunity, they choose to blame you for what they feel, to push you away so they don't have to confront the inconvenient truths your light reveals. The second reason for family coldness is even deeper. Your spiritual elevation directly threatens their ego. While you were broken, struggling, visibly failing, they felt secure in superiority. They could judge you, advise you, use you as example of how not to live. But when you started growing spiritually, prospering in areas they're stagnant, demonstrating peace they don't have despite having more material resources, this completely destabilized the unspoken family hierarchy. Your success, especially spiritual, exposes their failure, and instead of being inspired, they feel envy disguised as concern, resentment hidden behind constructive criticism. And here's what hurts most. The more you align with divine purpose, the colder they get, because they unconsciously perceive you're escaping the family control system that keeps everyone trapped. You represent threat to status quo, to established dynamic, to shared secrets that only work when everyone agrees not to talk about them. So they freeze you emotionally, exclude you from conversations and decisions, treat you as visitor instead of family member. Not because you change for worse, but exactly because you change for better in ways they're unwilling or unready to change too. Their coldness isn't about you. It's about the spiritual war your light wages against the darkness they still embrace, even if unconsciously. What you're experiencing in family dynamics goes far beyond incompatible personalities or normal generational differences. It's spiritual warfare disguised as family conflict. There's literally a spirit of rejection operating through family members who've been designated, consciously or unconsciously, to make you feel unwanted, inadequate, problematic. This spirit works through subtle comments that erode your self-esteem, jokes that always put you as target, accidental exclusions from important events, and mainly through the consistent message that you're never good enough no matter how hard you try. It's not just dysfunctional dynamic. It's strategic spiritual attack, trying to make you give up on your calling by making you believe that if even your own family rejects you, you must be worthless. This spirit of rejection operates with surgical precision. It makes you question your sanity, convinces you the problem is you, keeps you seeking validation from people who'll never give it because they're tools, often unconscious, of spiritual warfare against your destiny. You try harder, work to be accepted, change aspects of yourself trying to fit in, but nothing is ever enough because the rejection isn't based on what you do or don't do. It's based on what you represent spiritually. The enemy knows that if they can make you feel rejected by your own family, they can plant a root of rejection so deep it will sabotage relationships, opportunities, and callings for decades through the limiting belief that you don't deserve to be chosen, loved, or successful. Recognizing its spiritual battle and not just problematic family completely changes your response. You stop trying to prove your worth to those being used to attack your destiny. Stop internalizing rejection as truth about your identity and start fighting spiritually instead of emotionally. Pray specifically against the spirit of rejection operating through them. Establish firm boundaries without guilt. And most importantly, stop expecting dysfunctional family relationship to magically change when it might actually be exactly the separation God is using to free you from generational patterns that would keep you small for the rest of your life. Family rejection hurts, but when you understand its confirmation of calling instead of condemnation of value, its power over you is completely broken. The loneliness you feel not just from family, but from connections in general isn't divine punishment for something you did wrong. It's God's intentional preparation separating you from influences that would contaminate your purpose. Think of Jesus spending 40 days alone in the desert before starting ministry. Moses isolated in the desert for 40 years before liberating a people. Paul withdrawn in Arabia for 3 years before spreading the gospel. The biblical pattern is clear. God hides those he intends to use powerfully, not to punish you, but to form you away from voices that would distort the message he's planting in you. Divine isolation is secret training ground where your true identity is forged without interference from family opinions that only know you by the old version of who you were. During this season of isolation, God is doing deep spiritual surgery that simply cannot happen while you're trying to keep dysfunctional relationships functioning. He's removing toxic patterns you inherited from family lineage. He's healing rejection wounds that have been planted since childhood. He's recalibrating your identity from problematic black sheep to separated chosen one. And most importantly, he's teaching you to hear his voice above all other voices that until now defined who you should be. This process hurts because it involves emotional detachment from people you love, but who cannot walk with you in this specific phase of the journey without compromising the work God is doing. Isolation also teaches you essential spiritual self-sufficiency. How to be complete in God when no human validates you. How to maintain your elevated frequency even when no one applauds. How to keep obeying the calling even when family calls you crazy. These lessons are only learned in forced solitude, away from emotional crutches that would keep you dependent on human approval instead of confident in divine approval. So stop fighting isolation as if it were enemy and start embracing it as temporary but essential teacher. Because when this season ends and God brings you back to visibility, you'll be so anchored in the identity he gave you that no future family rejection will have power to shake you like it did before. Here's the liberating truth that will change everything. Divine approval was already given the moment God chose you. Family validation isn't necessary, isn't prerequisite for your success, and frankly isn't worth the emotional price you pay trying to win it from people who'll never give it, because that would destabilize the whole dynamic, keeping them comfortable. You can graduate, prosper, marry, have children, build empire, and still there will be family member finding fault, criticizing choices, moving the good enough goalpost each time you get close. Not because you consistently fail, but because their validation was never about real merit. It was always about control, about keeping you small, about ensuring you never grow beyond the role they assigned you in the family narrative. Stop right now twisting your personality, trying to fit into expectations that were designed to keep you imprisoned. Stop sharing your victories with those who always find ways to diminish them. Stop seeking advice from those who never lived in spiritual alignment. Stop hoping they'll finally really see you, when the truth is they see perfectly who you are and choose to reject because your authenticity confronts the comfortable falsity they've built. Each minute you waste trying to prove your worth to family that already decided not to validate you is a minute stolen from the mission that really matters. Drained energy that should be invested in building the purpose God gave you. Liberation comes when you finally internalize this truth. You don't need their blessing to prosper. Don't need their approval to fulfill destiny. Don't need their recognition to confirm you are who God says you are. Would it be nice to have? Of course. Would it be easier if family supported? Without doubt. But absence of family validation doesn't cancel presence of divine approval. And when you stop begging for crumbs of acceptance from those who will never give you the banquet you deserve, you discover radical freedom to simply be who you are without apologizing, without diminishing yourself, without contorting trying to fit in a box that was never made for your size. God already validated you. Now it's time for you to validate yourself and move forward. You're not who they see you as, you're who God says you are, and this distinction needs to be so rooted in your soul that no family opinion can shake your foundation anymore. Family sees you through lenses distorted by years of dysfunctional dynamic, unresolved projections, and mainly through the old version of who you were before spiritual awakening. They call you problematic black sheep because that narrative serves them. God calls you separated chosen one because that's the spiritual truth. The crucial question is, which identity will you accept as real? The one that keeps you small and imprisoned in limiting family roles, or the one that frees you to fulfill giant purpose that goes far beyond domestic dynamics? Emotional detachment doesn't mean stopping loving your family. It means stopping allowing them to define your value, dictate your destiny, or control your decisions through emotional manipulation disguised as concern. It means you can be in the same room without internalizing every criticism as absolute truth, can hear their opinions without feeling obligated to obey, can love them from safe distance without guilt for establishing boundaries that protect your peace and purpose. This detachment is act of spiritual maturity, not emotional coldness. It's recognizing you have identity separate from family narrative, and that preserving this identity sometimes requires you to say no, even when that disappoints people you love. Daily practices of spiritual identity reinforcement are essential. Start each morning declaring who God says you are before checking messages from family that might remind you who they say you are. Spend time in prayer and meditation anchored in biblical truth about your value. Surround yourself with healthy spiritual community that sees you through correct lens. And when family tries to pull you back to old role with comments like, "You've always been like this," or "You'll never make it," respond internally with, "That me died. I'm a new creature." Your identity isn't negotiable, isn't democratic, doesn't depend on family consensus. It's given by God, confirmed by fruits, and protected by healthy emotional detachment that allows you to love without being controlled. There are specific and unmistakable signs you're not just dealing with difficult family, but being deliberately spiritually targeted through them. First sign is subtle sabotage. Every time you're about to advance, land good job, start healthy relationship, launch important project, mysteriously a family emergency arises demanding your immediate attention, or family member plants seeds of doubt, so convincing you abort plans at the last minute. It's not coincidence that family crises always appear at the most strategic moments of your journey. It's precise spiritual timing trying to divert you exactly when you were about to break to the next level they don't want you to reach. Second sign is emotional manipulation disguised as love. Phrases like, "If you really loved us, you'd do this," "You're changing and not for the better," "You think you're better than us now," "After everything we did for you, you abandon us like this?" All designed to activate guilt that keeps you trapped in destructive dynamics. They use stories of past sacrifices as currency to control present decisions, transform your healthy boundaries into cruel rejection, and mainly, make you question your sanity by making it seem the problem is always you, never the toxic pattern they perpetuate. This manipulation is so subtle, you might not even notice you're being controlled until you're completely exhausted trying to please the unpleasable. Third sign is purposeful exclusion masked as forgetfulness. "We didn't know you wanted to participate. We thought you'd be too busy. It was last-minute decision." But everyone except you was included. They leave you out of important events, conversations about decisions affecting you, family photos circulating on social media. This exclusion isn't accidental. It's clear message you no longer belong because you evolved beyond the level they operate on. And when you confront, they accuse you of being too sensitive, dramatic, or creating problems from nothing. Recognize these patterns as spiritual warfare using family tools. Protect your energy by establishing distance, and stop expecting behavior to change. Instead, change your response by no longer being affected by tactics that only work if you're still seeking their validation. Have you noticed how your simple presence completely changes family atmosphere, even without you saying a word? Conversations stop when you enter the room. Inappropriate jokes are interrupted. Discussions about gossip turn into awkward silence, not because you're boring or sanctimonious, but because the light you carry automatically exposes the darkness they prefer to keep hidden. Your presence functions as silent conviction, mirroring back to them exactly what they're trying to ignore: the secret addictions, the lies they tell, the questionable choices, the spiritual superficiality disguised as religiosity. You don't need to preach, judge, or confront. Your simple existence aligned with divine purpose is a relentless mirror they can't avoid. This phenomenon of light exposing darkness explains why they avoid you even when there's no explicit conflict. Your peace bothers those living in internal chaos. Your integrity confronts those living in duplicity. Your authenticity exposes masks they wear so automatically they don't even notice anymore. And instead of using this discomfort as catalyst for their own change, they choose to attack or distance the source of conviction, which is you. They call you arrogant when you simply no longer participate in gossip, ungrateful when you establish boundaries against exploitation, thinking you're a saint when you've actually just stopped pretending destructive behaviors are normal or acceptable. The liberating truth is you're not responsible for how they react to the light you carry. You're only responsible for continuing to shine even when they ask you to dim your brightness so as not to bother them. Don't apologize for growing spiritually. Don't backtrack on genuine transformations to make family feel better. Don't extinguish your light so their darkness seems less obvious. Your mission isn't to make them feel comfortable with the spiritual mediocrity they chose. Your mission is to be a beacon that potentially can inspire them to also seek light. But if they prefer to reject you instead of transforming, that choice is theirs to carry, not your guilt to bear. Keep shining. Those who have eyes to see will find the path through your light. Forgiveness is absolutely essential for your own spiritual and emotional freedom. But forgiveness doesn't mean automatic reconciliation, and this distinction needs to be crystal clear in your mind. You can and should forgive family members for rejection, for cutting words, for subtle sabotage, for years of making you feel inadequate. Not because they deserve forgiveness, no one deserves it, it's grace, but because you deserve liberation from the weight of carrying bitterness that will poison your future. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It's a door you close on painful past so you can walk free toward the future. But forgiving doesn't obligate you to return to toxic environment, to restore trust that was repeatedly broken, or to submit again to dynamics that almost destroyed you. Reconciliation, unlike forgiveness, requires two willing parties. It requires them to acknowledge harm caused, demonstrate genuine change through consistent actions over time, and respect boundaries you establish without manipulation or retaliation. If these elements don't exist, if they never admit error, if behavior continues the same despite promises to change, if your boundaries are constantly violated and you're blamed for establishing them, then full reconciliation isn't wise or spiritually safe. You can maintain respectful distance, can have limited contact in specific situations if necessary, but you have no obligation to restore intimacy or vulnerability with those who repeatedly proved they can't be trusted with full access to your heart and life. The practice of forgiveness without reconciliation looks like this. I forgive you for what you did, and I pray God blesses and transforms you, but I won't put myself in position to be repeatedly hurt while pretending everything's fine. I love you from safe distance, genuinely wish you well. But my peace and purpose are priorities. I won't compromise trying to maintain relationship that only works when I diminish myself. This is mature forgiveness that liberates without enslaving itself again, that honors family ties without idolizing family dynamic above divine calling. And if they accuse you of not forgiving because you won't return to old pattern, remember Jesus forgave everyone, but wasn't available to everyone. He established boundaries, withdrew from hostile environments, and prioritized mission above pleasing people. Your forgiveness is real. Your wisdom in maintaining distance is too. If everything you've read up to here resonated deeply in your soul, if each paragraph seemed to describe exactly your family experience, you need to know now that you're not alone in this painful journey of being chosen black sheep. There are thousands of other chosen ones scattered around the world going through the same family rejection, feeling the same divine isolation, carrying the same wounds of not being validated by those who should love them unconditionally. This is common mark of those separated for greater purpose. Family rarely understands or supports because they operate on different frequency, and trying to force comprehension is wasting energy that should be invested in fulfilling the mission that justifies all the separation. But here's the powerful truth that sustains you through each moment of rejection. God was with you the whole time, even when it seemed you were completely alone. Each tear shed in loneliness was seen. Each moment of family exclusion was recorded. Each subtle attack was witnessed, and none of it was wasted. Everything was part of divine refinement, preparing you to carry weight of purpose your family would never understand because they weren't called to the same mission. The isolation that almost broke you was actually God hiding you in His hands, molding you in secret, equipping you with strength that only comes from having survived rejection from those who should have accepted you but chose not to. So lift your head right now and recognize, being family black sheep isn't curse, it's confirmation of calling. Their rejection doesn't define your value. Their separation doesn't cancel your destiny. Their misunderstanding doesn't invalidate your purpose. You were chosen before being rejected, separated before being excluded, validated by God before being denied by family. And when you finally fulfill the mission that cost you family acceptance, when lives are transformed through what you went through, when your testimony frees others from generational prisons, you'll look back and understand the price was worth it. That rejection was divine protection, and that God never abandoned you for even 1 second of the solitary journey that brought you exactly where you needed to be. So now tell me with total honesty, after everything you discovered here, will you still waste more years trying to win validation from family that chose to reject you because your light exposes what they want to keep hidden? Or will you finally embrace the truth that being black sheep is confirmation of calling, not condemnation of value? Will you keep internalizing their rejection as truth about who you are? Or will you anchor your identity in what God says, that you were chosen, separated, designated for purpose going far beyond dysfunctional family dynamics? Look at your journey with new eyes. Each moment of exclusion was freeing you from toxic generational patterns they perpetuate. Each criticism that hurt you was pushing you away from conformity that would kill your destiny. Each day of divine isolation was preparing you to carry weight of mission requiring you to be different, even when that costs the painful price of not having family support. You can forgive them completely while maintaining healthy distance, can love them genuinely without allowing them to control your life, can honor blood ties without idolizing family dynamic above divine calling. The separation isn't your failure. It's divine strategy protecting you until you're strong enough to fulfill purpose they'll never fully understand. If this message resonated deeply with you, if it finally makes sense why you never fit in the family, if you're ready to stop seeking their validation and start fully living in the identity God gave you, then don't keep this to yourself. Subscribe to the channel because we're going to continue exploring the chosen one's journey with content that will equip you to thrive even when family doesn't support. Leave in the comments what city you're watching from, and if you're also family black sheep. I want to know where the chosen ones are who are waking up to the truth that family rejection doesn't cancel divine approval. And turn on notification bells because each video might bring the liberation you need to finally release the weight of trying to please those who will never validate you. Remember, you're not problematic black sheep. You're separated chosen one. There's a huge difference between the two, and now you know what it is. See you in the next video.